What is going on, Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another video. Today, what I want to get into is Olu Fashanu. The Jets needed him in week 3, and honestly, I think Joe Douglas has been vindicated already with making that decision. I want to talk through why I believe Olu Fashanu was the right pick for the New York Jets. I talked about it at the time, but how that's already kind of been proven just 3 games into their 2024 season. Unfortunately, in the Jets' win over the New England Patriots, we saw Morgan Moses go down with a knee injury. He got rolled up on, and it didn't look very good. I was nervous about it, and you never, ever want to see an injury. It really stinks. The Jets have played 3 games this year, and in both their wins, they lost Jermaine Johnson for the season, and we saw a knee injury for Morgan Moses. Now, the good news with Morgan Moses is that it doesn't appear to be season ending. It doesn't look like he'll need surgery, but more than likely he'll miss a couple of weeks. Again, that's really a bummer. I don't want to ever see someone get hurt. Morgan Moses is a good player, although you could probably make the case through the first 3 weeks of the year he's been their worst starting offensive lineman. But if Morgan Moses is your worst starting offensive lineman, you have that's a real first world problem. The Jets, what they were dealing with on the offensive line last year, they would sign up for the version of Morgan Moses that we saw through the first 3 weeks of the year. So there's always context to this. But again, this is why you draft someone like Olu Fashanu, because he was going to, more than likely, the Jets were going to need an additional tackle at this point. And in comes their first-round pick, 11th overall, someone who is considered by many draft experts as a top tackle prospect. It was Joe Alt and Olu Fashanu for the longest time, and the Jets were able to grab Olu at pick number 11, which I thought was a steal, and we might be seeing that already even 3 games into his career. He came in and only played 14 snaps against the New England Patriots, so not a massive sample size, but he was solid. What I've really liked about Olu so far during his time with the New York Jets is he doesn't look like a young rookie, which is what he is. He's a very young player when the Jets drafted him, 21 years old, but he plays like a veteran already. And right now, early on, he's not playing at like an insane high level, right? Like, I'm not going to tell you, Olu's going to be, rookie of the year or a Pro Bowler or all pro in his first season. But the floor with him has just been so high. And that's honestly what really impressed me. In those 14 snaps, he did not allow a pressure. He did not allow a sack. And this is why I wanted the Jets to trial him on the right side during training camp and in the preseason, because if either Tyron Smith or Morgan Moses needed to miss time this year, I wanted Olu to be ready to come in, and it appears that that's the case. If you include Olu's preseason numbers, he's allowed just 2 pressures, none of which was a sack or a quarterback hit, so just 2 hurries in 68 total reps. And his run blocking, which was honestly considered maybe his weaker point, like everyone talked about Olu as potentially the best pass blocker in the draft class. And I would agree with that. My opinion at the time, and still is, that Joe Alt was all around the best offensive lineman, or offensive tackles more specifically. And of the group, I thought Olu was the best as a pass blocker, but I think he's been more than fine as a run blocker. He's actually been pretty solid. The New York Jets totally revamped their offensive line this year. And part of that revamp was signing Tyron Smith in free agency and trading for Morgan Moses at a really low cost. It was a great value trade for Joe Douglas and the New York Jets. The issue with those 2 guys is their age and injury history. Both tackles are 33 years old. So they're on the wrong side of 30 already. But both guys, specifically Tyron Smith, we know Tyron misses time every single year. He hasn't played a full season since 2015. Like, you're going almost a decade back the last time he played a full year. So you needed a contingency plan on the left side. That was an obvious. But Morgan Moses, usually an Iron Man, missed 3 games last year, which is not, catastrophic. That's expected for, an offensive lineman later in their career. They're going to get banged up. And he played through injury last year. He had a torn pectoral. So him getting hurt was something that I think the Jets needed to plan for. And that's what they did. Their contingency plan by drafting Olu Fashanu was significantly higher than what the Jets' plan, or significantly better than what the Jets' plan was a year ago at the tackle spot. The Jets' plan at tackle last year was Dwayne Brown, who was older than both these tackles and frankly didn't play all that great the year prior. He was okay, but he wasn't spectacular. And then they had Mekhi Becton, who again was coming off of missing essentially 2 straight years. And I was glad to see Mekhi Becton play 16 games last year. Like that in its of itself is a win. He just wasn't really all that productive. His rust was showing, and he's not playing tackle anymore. He's playing guard for the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Jets said, okay, we're going to improve that. Their first backup plan was Max Mitchell or Billy Turner or Carter Warren off the bench. And, Billy Turner was abysmal last year. I don't know how he was on an NFL roster, but Max Mitchell has just not been very good, especially since coming back from the blood clot. And Carter Warren looked like a mid-round rookie a year ago. They needed a better option than either of those two guys if someone was going to get hurt. And the Jets made it 2.5 games before one of their tackles got hurt. So that's why I think going offensive line and specifically offensive tackle was the right play for the New York Jets here. And if you remember any of my videos around the draft, I was not anti going wide receiver or Brock Bowers. I think both would have improved the offense, obviously. Getting a weapon would have been fun. Brock Bowers looks awesome already. This isn't an anti-Brock Bowers stance. It never was when I said that my preference was going offensive line. Same thing with wide receiver. The Jets, it felt like they were very keen on trading up for a wide receiver. They checked in with the Giants on draft day. They tried to move up with the Atlanta Falcons, and Falcons end up taking a quarterback. Rome Odunze goes 1 pick in front of the Jets. Jets move back a spot and still get an offensive lineman, and a really damn good one in Olu Fashanu. So again, I think the people who wanted a weapon or Brock Bowers, I had really no gripe with that argument because, again, I think you can make a really strong case for it. Maybe I had a gripe with how some of it was handled. I think some people were way too stubborn on their belief and not willing to see hey, drafting offensive linemen is actually, that's not a terrible idea. That was really my only gripe with some of the, it has to be a weapon folks. I think you could have made a strong case for going offensive line, wide receiver, tight, or Brock Bowers specifically, not just tight end, but Brock Bowers. And we see Joe Douglas's decision, trading back, getting more draft capital, and on top of that, landing a damn good offensive lineman. It's played off. It's paid off already. Game 3 of the season, Olu Fashanu is already going to be, coming in and playing. And he's more than likely going to start against Denver. And if I had to guess as well, is probably starting against Minnesota. And my thought at this point, again, subject to change, we'll see. Maybe Morgan Moses comes back against the Buffalo Bills in a few weeks. But even if that's the case, well, Tyron Smith also misses time. So while you might have Olu be a plug for 2.5 games for now, you're probably going to need more than the 2.5 games out of Olu at some point. He's probably going to also have to play left tackle. So the Jets have a versatile piece on the offensive line who could play either right tackle or left tackle. And they also have their tackle of the future in Olu Fashanu. So I love the decision at the time, and I think it's already paying dividends right now for the New York Jets. So just wanted to come on here quickly and discuss why I think it's a right decision and why Joe Douglas can, be proud of his choice and his decision to go offensive line. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I am Matt O'Leary, and I will catch you next time.